Let's talk about some great tips when it comes to trademark renewal. Did you know a trademark can be renewed forever? The oldest USPTO trademark registration that's still valid was registered in 1884 for the Samson Rope Technologies logo. That's almost 150 years old, that registration. Really unbelievable. Third, you must know the deadline for the next renewal. It's complicated, unfortunately. Fourth, you need to know where to look to find out about the deadlines, which is on the TSDR maintenance tab. I have a whole separate video about that. 5, calendar that deadline. What I mean by that is set it and forget it. Set it in your calendar several years from now when that renewal deadline is, so you have a reminder. Know that you can file up to a year before the deadline, believe it or not. And know that filing early is very valuable because it can help save headaches and save money if the USPTO requires more information or issues a refusal. Also know that there's a grace period after the deadline, but it's only 6 months and cannot be extended. Know about the USPTO's audit program. This impacts a random selection of registrations and is particularly worth paying attention to if a registration has a long list of goods or services in it, and it's useful to be proactive and submit extra evidence covering as many of the items as possible. 10th tip, know about a declaration of continued use, which is the filing that's due after 6 years of registration, the initial 6 years. And then know about the renewals, which are due every 10 years after registration. So due at the 10th anniversary or birthday, 20th, 30th, 40th, etc. Know about the difference between a Section 8 filing and a Section 15 filing. A Section 15 filing relates to incontestability, a declaration of incontestability, and know about the details of what that means. We also have content and videos about that subject separately. Know about ownership changes. If ownership has changed since the registration was issued or the last renewal was filing, you need to know about the impact on that and how to deal with it. Similarly, if the technology for what the goods or services are has changed over the years, let's say the registration covered cassette tapes or CD-ROM software, you need to know about the impact on that and the possibilities to adjust it and the procedures for that and how it impacts the renewal. Similarly, also need to know about what if the mark has changed a little bit. This is especially if it's a logo. If it's changed just a little bit, you might still be able to renew it, but you might have to submit some additional filings. You need to know about the rules, costs, timing, procedures related to that. We're now up to tip number 17. Know about the specimen requirements when you file for renewal. What type of evidence is acceptable and good? Know about the address requirements because those have changed for many people. If their registration was issued years ago, there are newer domicile address requirements that you need to know about. You need to know about the declaration requirements and what is the signatory attesting to when they sign the renewal. Which brings us to the 20th tip, knowing about how the signature works and what the signature requirements are and who can sign. Number 21, know about renewal scams. I've talked about this a lot. Lots of solicitations trying to take money that either is not for a legitimate service or is way in advance of when the renewal can even be filed. Tip 22, know about the government filing fees related to these renewal filings. They each have different sets of fees. And 23, know about the fees increasing as of right now, scheduled for January 2025. We're coming up to the last 2 tips. Know that if a cited registration, this is an interesting twist on renewal. If one has applied and there's a registration cited as a likelihood of confusion, know that if that registration is in its grace period and has not yet been renewed, you can have the application suspended while you wait to see what happens. This can be very advantageous. And similarly, if the cited registration is in the renewal period but not yet in the grace period, You can still get things suspended, but you would have to file an appeal to the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board and then request suspension. So a lot of nuance here about renewals. Those are 25 tips. If you've enjoyed these 25 tips and want to hear even more about trademark renewal procedures, stay tuned for the next video.